2023, and always I go for which is my best smartphone, but seeing how my channel focus is different now, with the focus being on the camera performance, let's find out which one is the best of 2023 in my opinion. Either way, let's dive into the video, but before that, something just doesn't feel right when it comes to awards. Let's fix that. Alright, this feels a little bit better when it comes to doing these awards. Anyway, let's dive into my favorites of 2023. And I'm gonna do a little bit of a budget segment as well when it comes to what I think was a really good phone for the price itself. Because of course, when you're paying 1200 euros or 800 euros or 400 euros, that's quite a bit of difference in terms of what you can get for the money. So I will cover some of those subjects as well. But with that being said, let's start with my favorite of 2023 when it comes to straight out camera performance for every segment and for the price itself. Let's ignore that one. And that comes down to what I've used, of course, and was my own. The Xiaomi 13 Pro. That without a doubt for me comes with my preference to being my favorite camera of 2023, because the performance for me is really solid when it comes to the camera. I like the more natural approach, I like how they approach the pictures in general, and of course I like the styles that you get with it. So for me, without question, the Xiaomi 13 Pro is my favorite. And that is not only down to the main sensor. The main sensor is amazing, don't get me wrong. But the floating lens on the Xiaomi 13 Pro not only allows for really nice close-up shots, but also great portrait shots as well. But that doesn't mean that there isn't a runner-up that isn't actually far off. There are some cameras that aren't far off. One is a late entry of 2023, and that comes down to the iQOO 12. The iQOO 12 is amazing for the price that you are paying. And I feel like for $650, this definitely deserves the second spot, shared with the Vivo X90 Pro and the OnePlus 11 slightly behind it as well. I think those phones are excellent in terms of cameras, and while I think that with the OnePlus 11 you need to go into Pro mode and use RAW, because I don't necessarily like their processing that much, I feel like it needs a little bit of work. I think that the OnePlus 11 is underrated. And I also want to mention, when it comes to this top segment, the Sony Xperia 1 Mark V. Now, I know this one is a bit of a different kind of device, a different kind of beast, and it's a little bit lower than, for instance, the iQOO 12, because the price that you're paying is quite a bit more. But I will give it a lot of credit for the versatility that you have with it, the programs that you have with it to allow you to, for instance, get really down into the settings for videography, but also photography itself. Really makes it an excellent camera for those pro users, especially with having a micro SD slot, a 3.5mm headphone jack and a shutter button. I think that the Sony Xperia 1 Mark V shouldn't be underrated by any means, and I think it's an excellent phone for what it's doing. Yes, it needs work with the periscope, but overall I think it is excellent, especially the main sensor itself is really good on the Sony Xperia 1 Mark V. And then we get to a little bit lower of a price, let's say 600 to 800 euros, which is my favorite pick. No question about it, and well, again, it is a late entry, and yes, you already know which one I'm talking about. I think that the iQOO 12 is excellent. It comes with great sensors inside, it comes with the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3. Yes, this doesn't necessarily matter in terms of camera performance, even though it does kind of because of the processing. But I think that the iQOO 12 is an excellent phone when it comes to the camera performance itself. Again, you do have black and white, you have that vintage filter that I really love when it comes to Vivo and iQOO. I think they've done an amazing job. For 650 euros or $650, they've done an excellent job, and it excels my expectations for a phone around their price. Again, iQOO has done an amazing job when it comes to their camera performance. The runner-up for around that price again goes to the OnePlus 11. I think that the OnePlus 11 is underrated, and I think it performs really well for the price that you are paying as well when it comes to said camera. Again, I will go into Pro mode myself because preference isn't my style when it comes to the OnePlus 11, but when I use the Pro mode, it delivers an amazing camera quality. And then we get to a lower segment again, which is around 400 euros ish. you get to, for me, the Poco F5 and the Xiaomi Redmi Note 12 Pro Plus. Those are excellent phones for the price that you are paying, and again, loving the styles that you get with it. Having that versatility to play around with it, which is really important for me. Again, these things where I'm picking here is a preference base, because again, for me for instance, more contrast, a more natural look works for me, but it doesn't necessarily have to work for you, and therefore I would say this isn't a defining list by any means. This is my list. And if you agree, that's nice, but if you don't, that's also fine, because everyone has their own preference. And then last, I will say, when it comes to price itself, the phone that shocked me for the price that you are paying, again this really matters, is the Poco C65. You can get it for around 120 euros depending on region and so on. But for the price that you are paying, the main camera is perfectly fine and it does a decent job. Again, a lot of it depends on the user when it comes to photography in general, when it comes to using a phone as well. Just as much as you are using a proper camera, it comes down to the user as well. So while the Poco C65 is good at capturing shot, again, it also kind of depends on the user. But I think for the price that you're paying, it has done an excellent job, and therefore I feel like it deserves a mention in this list. But at the end, when it comes to my overall favorite, it still stays, of course, the Xiaomi 13 Pro. Would have liked to use the Xiaomi 13 Ultra, yes, and I've used it for a short amount of time, but not enough to give me a feeling of how the camera performance genuinely is, because it was for an afternoon, and therefore I feel like I cannot add it to my list. I need to use it properly to give you an indication on how I think that the performance is, and therefore I would say I cannot put that one in the list. Neither can I put the Xiaomi 14 in the list because I haven't used it, and neither can I use, for instance, the upcoming Vivo X100. Well, these will be released in this year. I haven't used them, and therefore they cannot be on my list, because else I would pretty much lie to you, because I don't have experience with it. Either way, let me know what you think about this list. Let me know what you think is the best camera for you when it comes to, of course, 2023. And let me know what phone you are looking for to 2024 and which one you are probably going to get when it comes to the camera performance. Either way, let me know in the comments below. And of course, if you aren't subscribed yet, don't forget to subscribe, like and everything. And of course, talk to you guys in the next. And in advance, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, or whatever you celebrate. And of course, talk to you guys in the next.